Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Amanda. I am the principal interior designer at Designer Soup Studio, which is my small boutique interior design studio. I have been collecting a ton of different marble samples over the past years. I thought that I would sit down and show you guys some of the marble that I think is super rad and super cool. Familiarize you guys a little bit with some marble that I would definitely use on a project. I thought it would be really cool to also take it a step further and bring in the cabinet samples. So I have some painted cabinet samples, just very neutral colors, and then I have some cabinet stain color. Another thing I wanted to layer in was some hardware. I just literally grabbed this entire sample box. This is the sample box from Armac Martin, which is a hardware company. And they have all we need here basically to create some really cool palettes. You know, all the way from matte black, antique silver, antique copper, every sort of lacquered and unlacquered brass you can imagine. One of my favorite hardware sample boxes that I've received to date has been the Armac Martin sample box. Bringing the whole thing with me. I'm very much a sample hoarder when I go to a client meeting, so I take so much stuff with me, it's insane. Fun fact, when I was in school, I think a lot of design students and architects kind of go through this, is you basically end up bringing like a trolley or like hauling basket into classes because you just have so much stuff. Drop a comment in the comment box below if that was you. This one right here is one of my favorites. This is Fantastico Arnie. This is a honed stone, and I really love how it has like this earth and sea combined. It really reminds me of when the waves kind of wash up on the beach. It's so beautiful, and it has this seaweed appearance to it, the way that it moves through the tile. This is something that I learned from an architecture firm that I worked for. I get 3 different samples because the samples are really small. You can kind of tell the variation in like the entire slab. Like if you were to just get this sample right here, you know, you would assume that the whole entire slab was going to just be these very, very straight lines. But then if you just select this one, this sample right here, you're gonna assume that there's just these funky striations like everywhere on the whole slab. I just go with the, you know, power of 3, learned that beautiful lesson, and to share the variation. This also works out when you are backlogging information, I should say, or archiving information. So one of these will go with the client, one of them will go with the builder archive, maybe the building, maybe you're doing a commercial building project, you'll leave that with the actual building administration, and then one for the design firm. Something that I wanted to also share with you guys is the cabinet sample that I would pair with this. This is a craft-made sample, craft-made cabinets, and this is their translucent driftwood in maple. I really like this. It's a very soft, it's like the color of a cappuccino. Driftwood, ocean, water, it just kind of met, and whoever named these samples, you know, that's kind of good. But I wanted to kind of get like a pop and something a little bit more, you know, dark and not so like light and fluffy. Have like this grounding aspect because you have this whirly swirly water right here. So I like to put this matched with a matte black hardware. Really, the brown and the black together. A lot of people do not like this color combination, but you know, honestly, it's very on trend with the unearthed look. This is extremely trendy, very buttoned up, very modern, but this is definitely something that would be in the palette of a lot of individuals. Oftentimes, slabs are named the name of the quarry. So a lot of these slabs come from Italy. You know, there's tons of slabs in Italy, and oftentimes you can go to a specific quarry where they find like a ton of marble, and they'll have 3 different types of marble in the same quarry. Sometimes you will get a white stone that has like blue in it, but then there's a section of that area or the quarry that has like a purple or something like that. This one right here, stark in contrast next to this. This is like very warm and very almost like commercial in a sense. When you think modern, think of the original modern that came into a lot of our mindset, where it's like very bare and it's all white and black. I remember when I first got into design, when someone told me, oh, we want a modern style, I always thought like black, white, bare, no trace of anyone living in the space. So it's funny how that vernacular kind of gets developed. So this is actually a quartzite stone slab. It is called white Makuba, and this is a polished stone. One of the most resilient quartzites out there. I just love how it has like these, I mean, you can't see it in the sample, but I'll put up a picture. These like amazing combed, very light brushes of veining. It just looks very continuous and purposeful, and like all the veins of this stone knew where they were going to, and they all had the same direction. This right here, I just paired it with this stark white. This is actually called Dove White, and this is again a maple. So it's just Dove White paint on maple. Looks amazing together. Keep it super streamlined modern and put this with a polished chrome. You could warm it up a little bit with a polished nickel. I don't know if I would go with a polished brass. That might make it a little bit too gaudy or too much, to where it's getting like way too polished and way too extravagant for my taste. This is totally my opinion. With the white, I would have like a polished top and then do like a tarnished brass or something like that. Something to like bring like the human nature into it and not make it so pristine and perfect that, you know, you'll notice if someone's handprint is on one of the polished brass. This slab is called Brecca Imperial. This is a polished slab. It looks like a grape and raspberry Laffy Taffy kind of got pulled through. Very emotional in the way that the veins run, very excited, and there's a lot of, you know, spotting of different color areas in the slabs, lots and lots of variation. There is some green and yellow through here, so it's warmer, and so because it does pull a little warm and a little bit yellow, I decided to pair it with the Craft Made Pebble Gray. I really like how a really deep dark purple and light gray look together. I think they complement each other a lot because this does run a little bit yellow and a little bit warm in some areas. Tone it down with the gray. You can even go like a darker gray. I don't know where the darker gray is. Oh, I guess this is the darkest gray I have here, the Pebble Gray. But if you wanted to go even more of a charcoal to get moodier, you could totally do that. You can do a brass. I guess let's look into the R. Mac Martin case. I like this one a lot. Okay, Burnished Brass. It's hyphenated as BEL by R. Mac Martin. And this actually has like a little bit of green and like wildness actually in because it's tarnished, you know. It has so many markings, and I feel like if you wanted to really pull through on that, you know, crazy wild markings, oh, that looks so good. If you wanted to have gray cabinets without being like really cold or too modern, this is a really good way to go. The Burnished Brass, the Brecca Imperial, and then a nice like pebbly gray. Yeah, I really find it amazing when either someone goes super polished and beautiful, and then, or they decide to go the total other route, which is like unkempt, just, you know, spotty, don't care if you get stains on it, really wild and lived in. This one is a little bit more Scandinavian. And so we have been to Italy twice, South America, and I believe this is from Brazil. This is Norwegian Rose. This is polished. For some reason, this reminds me of Milo Bachmann. I don't know why. I feel like it's very elegant and classy, and Milo Bachmann is like very elegant and classy as a designer. This Norwegian Rose is, you know, what can I say? It's like a beautiful green striation through here, and then you have this stark white. and then it has all of this crystallization through the pink. It's like, you know, the pink Himalayan salt mixed with like a green salt. It's like, you know, very exciting. I had matched this with the Moonshine by Craftmade, and I love how this has a little bit of blue pulling through it. I just love these two together. I think they're amazing and they complement each other very well. So matching it with like a nice powder blue gives it that, you know, really Nordic type of style, that Scandinavian gesture. And I definitely, without a doubt, would pair this with a polished nickel. This one screams like mid-century to me. This guy right here is called Grigio Perla. Because it says Grigio, which means gray in Italian, I'm assuming this is, you know, from Italy. And then I matched it with this finish right here. It's actually a stain called Barley. And so basically this is what it would look like. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I will definitely put in up close images. This looks like a thunderstorm, just amazing. Just, it looks like you're looking up into the sky, a storm's coming through, very dark clouds, you know, really closing out the light, and now you're getting some like lightning bolts and thunder. It's very moody, very kind of like disturbed energy. Adding this barley stain, having this with a stain, just another type of earthy color. If the base is furious, then we have to cool it down with the countertop. It's just a little bit of the logic that I go behind. I don't know, I would almost do a matte white hardware. I think that this would, you know, it would really make it pop. It would kind of bring like that clean purity into things. You know, when you put together the design, it's so effortless that you don't even really know like why the connection happens. So this is something that, you know, designers study all the time. You know, they spend a lot of time. I know myself, I spend a lot of time with materials, and I just kind of think about those things. And I feel like the more time you spend like living with materials, learning about them, where they come from, why do they, you know, act in a certain way, why does a certain material stain, why is a certain material more porous, or, you know, what's the density, why, it's just, you know, really interesting, magical. It's called Reve Blue. Well, it says COO on the back. Honest, I think that might be country of origin, and it has IT. And this is from Anne Sachs. So if that means country of origin, IT is actually from Italy, which doesn't, you know, shock me. There's tons of quarries in Italy. Italian marble is like, you know, the shit. I just love how this and the Fantastico Arnie really give the same energy, but this is more, you know, I'm taking up more space. This was done with like a very fine paintbrush, as you know, very small pointed tip brush, and this was done more with like a really fat brush that, you know, just didn't care and was very like Jackson Pollock. The Craftmade sample that I have matched with it is a stain, and it is called Praline. This is probably one of my favorite stains that Craftmade has for like that natural, very rich, kind of traditional type of cabinet base. This one right here, the reason why I chose these two is there's almost like this amber tone, this, you know, red ochre type of richness that jumped into this stone and kind of swirled around with the blue and the green and the white, just enough to get like the perfect undertone. It was very smooth. And so what you want kind of with this nice traditional warm and welcoming type of stain is something that is a little like honey, looks like honey, feels like honey. I guess I'm gonna pick out a hardware on the spot. You can go with the polished nickel, almost like having a tennis bracelet, matching earrings, and a necklace. Like it just brings the whole thing together, just kind of that effortless beauty. But if I were to go with a brass, I would take this So Golden, and I would do the hand burnished brass. It's giving the same type of hand brush elements as the one prior with the polished nickel or the nickel plate, and just turn that into brass and just have kind of like that combing natural vibe through here. So again, I would go polished with the polished nickel and just have it like very classy. All right, so the sun is definitely going down. So I had to readjust this light, or have my assistant readjust the light. This Italian slab, and this sample does not give this actual slab any justice, and I only have one and I use it for my design library right now, but it does have an image on the back. This is from Artistic Tile, but it has an image on the back of the full slab, so you can really get an idea of how displaced and kind of like exciting this is in some areas of the slab. It has this, you know, very deep chocolatey brown and just golden highlights through it, and a really dark kind of like charcoal veining. And I have matched it with this stain, this really deep stain called Cannon Gray from Craft Made. And I love how these two just, again, complement each other. So when you're trying to pick out a countertop, something that I always tell my client, you know, be sure of the, you know, the base cabinet colors that you like, or I will send them some base cabinet colors, just judging on, you know, their taste or style and the type of countertops that we've looked at through their Pinterest or through inspiration images. And I will tell them to take this to the stone yard, you know, just put it up against it when they're browsing, because when you do fall in love with a slab, you want to make sure that you have like the perfect color base cabinet to go with it. And of course there's like tons of different stains and tons of different paint colors, but if you want to work with semi-custom cabinets like Craft Made is, where things are more so in stock and not always custom, this is a really good option. So it's this beautiful antiqued silver, and it's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's something that almost blends in with the cabinet, very monochrome, so it almost makes the hardware melt into the cabinet itself. Thank you guys so much for joining in on the video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned a little bit or got a little bit of knowledge on maybe what type of slab you can, you know, now have the name to go look for and get inspiration for, or, you know, knowing that there are just like tens of thousands and millions of different types of stones. And yeah, so if you guys are interested in hearing more of this type of information on interior design, please follow and subscribe. Follow my interior design Instagram at Designer Soup, and then subscribe for more information like this and new videos coming in the future.